7th?
February 7th.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Sorry, I don't need to be behind you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Today is February 7th, and today's topic is All There Is Love.
See, I didn't even see that in the email. I saw love, ... There's something going on.
Yeah.
Love is. Yeah. All right, then love is. All there is love,
No.
and love is. And Ryan's channel, Wisdom Channel, will be coming here in just a moment. Rick, will you open us up, please?
I'm just going to need more time. Greetings, and it is well to be with you all here again. Many of you, they're the same, and some different again. Interesting combinations as we come together now to speak about something we have spoke about almost every single time we've come in this sort of group setting: love, the dynamic of love. And yet you guys are coming to your season of what you consider love, because it's a very interesting one, because it's usually a season of a lot more than emotions and relationship troubles and other things as well, during the same exact day that you call Valentine's Day. Interesting dynamics. You chose pink and red as the colors of love, and that has been the look and the view that this vibration has taken on such things. For much of this is in correlation to what is the vibration of your heart. The dynamics that you move through your life, the dynamics that you move with yourself, in the passionate part of yourself, always seeking yourself in the dynamic of what is fun to you, what is bliss, and how do you run and follow and walk the grace with bliss. And that is the expression of yourself. That is who you have come here to be. The expression of love. The expression of what it is that you are. And it comes in many different forms. And the more, as we have said before, you can make this unconditionally in your part of your world, in this fractured, beautiful, slanted look of everything that there is around here, that you begin to broaden and expand the idea of what love is, in all the areas that love can be, and the different ways that it can be expressed. For there are many conditions that are placed around different relationships that you have. You have these barriers that you have set up for yourselves. Now, we're not saying this is a bad or good thing. It is just simply these are barriers that you've put up to protect yourself. To protect yourself in your own space, to not put up with certain things that are happening around you. We'd like to say vibrations. The keeper was hesitant to say such thing, only because it is a different way to speak. And we would hope that you understand on multiple levels of what that could mean. For you are with other beings and people, animals, all sorts of nature that expresses things a little bit differently, although it is an unconditional law that you can express, and it is something that you can feel even within the air that you take in on a beautiful day, and you have a soft breeze going through, and you feel what is around you. You feel a moment of calm, a moment of beauty as you look into a rose and you smell the enormous love that is coming from those things. You see an animal in its own seamless channel, as you might see this walk-in as we are doing here, channeling. and yet they are in their bliss doing what it is that they were freely wanting to do. And yet the human is very complicated, and it is somewhat, you are stuck in many of the dogmas of the day, and you are stuck on the many little things that kind of put you away from what this is, that is a natural part of yourself that is always wanting to come through, and naturally does, and it progresses slowly. For there's much in your dynamics. You have a way of living, you feel. You have a way of doing certain things that is all around you, that chooses, that you create new choices through all of this, and you create where you are in the love in all of this as well. When you are not with the vibrations that are most comfortable for you, we would like to say that there is ways there that you are going to be able to expand by allowing yourself to paint the energy of love there. Bring yourself, proceed that, and bring that towards what is happening in that situation there. With many different ideas of who you are, the things that would harmonize yourself with those other beings that aren't quite the same. No, we're not saying for you to become as like them, but for you to understand the dynamics, almost like if you were in a conversation with someone, you're finding the commonality with them. And we wouldn't say that this is always going to be the way, but it is going to be, again, part of our toolbox that we are going to bring here today as a way to allow yourself the idea that you can express love and see all things with the divine that you are. The divine that you have, that you hold, that you can see all things with love. Paint that in your scenario, within yourself first, and then it becomes your external reality. It is a vibration. You cannot tell someone you love them when you are upset. It just does not work. The vibrations are not a quite good mesh. You see that kids can see through much of these things. They feel the vibrations even though you are saying one thing or another. They feel what it is that you have, and that is the dominant force that you have with the situations that you have with other people. So, match your vibration with what it is that you would like to have as the outcome. Look at the outcome that you would like to proceed. First, look at how you would like to harmonize and create a situation first, and then see how you can mesh yourself with these other harmonies. This is another way of expressing love in difficult times of love, difficult scenarios. There's many different types that we can go across. For if you are just simply bumping your knee on something, you can curse it, as many of you do. And yes, this is an accident, but it is also a synchronized accident that you have attracted for yourself. And there are many different levels you can be expressing and looking at things. For it's going to be the dominant vibration that is within yourself that becomes your character, your part of yourself, that becomes you, becomes the holder of that love. And yet all of you have your own piece of what love is. All of you have your own piece of what joy, passion is. And it's all unique in its own form, and you're here to express it. As long as you are breathing, as we say, you're here to be an expression of yourself. Stand up and stand in your power, for it is your time. We'll open this up for questions.
So I know we've talked about this subject a lot. We also have talked about many times when we walk into a new setting or we're with someone, we tend to look at the difference instead of looking at the commonality. And I understand for me that that's something that I've worked at quite often and quite a bit. And I do find that when I find the commonality in any circumstance, instead of looking at the difference, then it does soothe, and it makes it more conducive, and it does settle the harmonics. And so I know that this would be a good practice to always to use. There's always going to be a little chaos. There's always going to be a little bit of difference. I know, too, that in nature itself, we are supported by every aspect of nature on this planet, and we are loved unconditionally. And sometimes it's very difficult to find the commonality just in nature. But if we could wake up every day and match our nature of who we are with the nature that we live in, would that work like on an unconscious level, or?
Yes, in many ways, yes, it does. And you are precisely right. In the way that you are viewing nature in itself, it is seamless. It is an ecosystem that is supporting all of you in the biology of who you are, even though you feel if you were to go out in the mountains, and yes, because you don't understand many of the dynamics that nature does and has available to you, there is a greater chance for things to go wrong. Now, it can be a brutal thing to also view nature, for if it's something that is not quite understood, it is also an opposite view that is looked on with certain things. So with nature, there is going to be two sides, but mostly this side is going to be the one that you are already naturally a part of. And this side is unconditional love. This side is the sporting side of who you are. Now, there is sometimes somewhat, we wouldn't say quite an imbalance, but a disruption, and things are happening in nature that is also incongruent of itself, and nature takes its course. Mother Nature has its ways to be its own part of its being. But yes, if you are connected to the nature part of who you are, the bliss, the love that you hold within yourselves, and proceed that into a room. For instance, if it is uncomfortable to be enmeshing your vibration, you can create a similar vibration with the people that you are here with by simply smiling. And that creates a new environment. It creates a setup. It creates a vibration in itself. It is the unfolding of the flower that is in front of you. It's the beauty that you have, that you are expressing, and you are raising that little bit of vibration that is there. You are proceeding. You are finding new ways to play the game of being a human and pretending to be a human. For you are so much more than this. You are not these labels that you consider yourselves throughout the days of time. You are so much more of these masters that we see in all of you. And these are going to be masterful times in the ways that you are going to approach all of your situations. And yes, in the ways that you see nature, in the ways that you see others, in the nature that you are. And it's going to be the harmonization of all those things that you are, that is the mesh of the biology of this plane of reality that you live in. Allow yourself the great ideas, the great expansions that you are, to be a part of all that is sacred to you, all that is divine. And see things with that sort of source, energy that you are.
You know, to have disharmony with other people, however, I mean, when that happens, generally speaking, we have disharmony inside. So, doesn't it really equate down to, you know, if we're not loving ourselves inside, we have difficulties loving others, and in the situations where we come to a place where we really feel good about who we are and care for ourselves, feel worthy, and feel love for ourselves, we're pretty much in a place of being able to pass it on to others. Can you talk about?
Well, we will say that there's many different vibrations that you are putting off here, and you brought up some interesting points as well. We would say there are things of feeling of what is worthy to you, what is not incongruent with the vibration, disruptive in the vibration that you are, and not in harmony with who you are. And there is the belief systems that is all a part of who you are within yourself. And we would like you to examine those things. For this is the very point of what we are trying to speak about here. When you are not in harmony with much of this, you have, yes, got to come into harmony to look at those belief systems. If a scenario does not go the way you would like it to, according to your belief systems, and you feel that it is a disruptive thing to what it is that you are inside, what it is that reflects the integrity of what you are within, you look at the evaluation of yourself, the harmony that you have, the aspects that you have. And you also see the broader perspective of what it is that you are, the whole situation, of all that there is around the whole scenario. And you are able to look within yourself and be able to process this energy, and then be able to approach the energy with a greater harmonics that you have. Now, you do not need to be in a full agreement of what is happening around you, for you may be very polarized on certain situations, and that is what this place has been very much as, very polarized place. And it is also in nature as well. For cats are always going to be cats, and dogs are going to be dogs, and they're going to chase each other. There's going to be some jousting as you go throughout your day with things and people that is just part of the dynamics of much of what it is that is here. It is your harmonics to those things. But then there's going to be things that you're going to feel very strongly about, that is very not harmonics at all. But yet, if you can find the harmonics that are there, that is within you, the source energy, that love unconditionally, that is part of you, that is what creates more of the harmony that is happening here, that creates much of the borders that are happening to go down, much of the different aspects of human beings to harmonize with one another, the races to harmonize with one another, and the world becomes smaller, the world becomes more efficient, the world also blossoms because of that great light being brought about, being transmuted, being processed individually within yourselves.
Sounds like a big sigh. So, when we enter a space that we're not in, that we actually feel out of alignment with, wanting agreement within ourselves, you can feel it in your body when you're moving into somewhere where you're not in total agreement, then our job or our ability to be creators would be to step out and synchronize, find the thing that just ask. How about if we just ask? Can that...
It can be so many of the ideas that you are coming up with, dear one. You have so much ahead of you. You can move yourself out of this space if it is easy. But if you are, for instance, in a prison and you were stuck in a scenario where you couldn't move from this space and you were forced to harmonize with those around you, and even those people at work that you don't really quite mesh with. Yes, you've got yourself a situation now where you can't quite step away. And you can ask for that sort of help, and you can ask in the asking of the help. There are so many guides around you, so many things that are unseen, we would say. Thoughts, ahas, and just you wanting that is a vibrational change already. You are setting yourself up for a change, and you are being conscious of it then, and you are standing closer to your power already. You may not know the answers to what it is going to be, but you can at least begin the process, and you can at least smooth the situation that is there. All of you have had very different types where you weren't sure how to be in the beginning, and that you were able to harmonize with them very quickly, for they were at a different pace, they were at a different rhythm altogether, and you just simply were able to match their rhythm. You related them to a brother or a sister that you have, and you were able to see them in a slightly different light, and yet you saw this harmonization take place, and it was a subconscious one, but yet the harmony took place, and you were able to speak with them. Even the people that you didn't quite enjoy listening to all the time, you are able to speak and have a normal, somewhat of a meshing of things. It's like a key, like we have mentioned before, that is just slightly off. It's not one that you would like to have played right next to your note, but yet is there. And is all part of the system of your reality. It is all part of the why you are here, to understand and master these things within yourself. There is so much love here, and you can allow yourself much of the unconditioned part of it to be always present in even those situations that it feels like it is not. For it is not all going to be darkness, all going to be congruent to you. There's always going to be a part of itself. And we do not want tea. Yes, there we go. The keeper's already a little excited here, and we're just wanting to keep it
No
connected.
caffeine is needed.
Well, when being in a group of people, can you talk about the difference between? I mean, we're not going to always agree with people, but we can always accept where they are,
Disagree.
and be an acceptance of who they are, and respect with acceptance of what they want to talk about, even though we don't agree about it. So, I mean, in other words, if we can come to a place of finding love within ourselves, so that we can be in acceptance of whatever. And if we aren't, step away. I mean, not in prison, we can step away. But in other words, talk about accepting versus, I mean, as it relates to connecting with the group, being an acceptance, and how we can do that as it relates to us, loving ourselves. In other words, we're coming from a place of acceptance. I guess I'm talking about love and acceptance.
Well, you see, you accept someone through your belief systems within yourself. So if you are not incongruent with the belief systems that is happening externally and with the belief systems that are within yourself, you are going to see a very disarray sort of part of yourself unfolding. And so you are not in harmonization at all with any of those things. Now what you are finding is common ground. That is something that is within all things that are here. For there is also a truth being unfolded before you also. There is also a part of yourself that is there reflected back to you. And yet this may be an annoying part of yourself that you do not want to see. But yet you are somewhat in a vibration that is in a harmonization with what is happening there. And that is something to re-evaluate, re-look at, and re-see the dynamics within yourself through the situation that is taking place, that is unfolding in front of you. And yes, it is that harmonics that is happening, that harmonics resonance that you also feel with a good relationship, a good scenario that is happening externally. But know that you are in part and parcel to all that is happening externally and within. It does not happen without the internal workings of your belief systems and the way that you see things through all the different filters and all the different ways that you view life. It will always be a part of those things that is happening externally in the situations that you are especially seeing happening. You have attracted in the ways that you have allowed it to be a part of your vibration to somewhat happen. And yet these are also gems for you. If you can find the gem in it, that is going to be the key here. There is going to be something that you can take from this and apply it to now the new part of you. As we're not just saying the new things that you would like to attract for yourself, but also the new belief systems that you have, the new things that you can look at, how you can find yourself the unconditional love through the situations that you have that are not so pleasant. And that is sometimes the greatest challenges, for you see things as many of you do as victims of circumstances, yet you have all been imparted to them equally. You have been somewhat attracting this all along through many of the things that you have had in your thought processes, in the vibrations of your emotions. These are things that are who you are, that you are bringing into your reality. And as you see these things happening, you just need to clear what is in there. You need to take care of yourself. These are indications and ways that you can bring yourself back to the more harmonization, the more empowered you, the more loving and light-holding, the more congruent part of yourself that wants to be and led and followed and understood quickly by the soul that it is, of the heart and mind, and all the balance that is there in the characteristics that you are.
Is the soul the driving force?
would say soul in the overall dynamic of who you are, the great connection that you had, the overall part of your being. You have what we would say a piece of your soul that is here. And you have wonderful parts of your being, which is your heart, your mind, as the guides of much of what is happening and the indicators that is going on in this bubble of biology that is happening on this plane of reality. It is how you are able to see and look at the vibrations that are happening here on the scale, and the individuality, which we find very interesting about this place. How individual you feel, and this creative veil that is placed so that you cannot really understand the grander schemes of what is there outside of who you are here.
And we're all creations of that Creator with this beautiful love of creation. Were you all birthed into the universe with the same energy of love from the Creator?
You all have, yes, this love, this divine peace, this sacred part of yourselves that always comes from a greater source energy that is a part of all things. And it is an underlining feeling. Now you may define it as many different things, as a God, but you are a part of these things. You are part of this light. You are part of the creating process. Although you don't feel this, many of you don't see this within yourselves. There's a greatness that is occurring here. There is a stepping forward of people that are beginning to be on the fringes of the ideas, of the things that are expanding within themselves, beginning to take the responsibility of why they are in the scenarios that they are, and changing the dynamics that is happening here, bringing their own heaven to earth.
Is one of the keys also that we've been talking about when our harmonics, our vibration shifts a little bit, especially in our physical body, is we become ungrounded. So if we could focus throughout the day a few times in staying grounded, it feels to me that the more we stay grounded, the more our emotions stay on an even keel. I know for me it feels like if one of my emotions take over, if I go into an anger or I become very sad and that emotion takes over, then I feel very ungrounded, and then my thinking seems to go all over the board, and I become more focused as I reground. So is that one of the keys, the major keys to keeping our harmonics in a good order?
Well, yes and no with this question, because there is going to be truths that you will find being ungrounded and having then expressions of emotions and the range of emotions that you do, and especially this plane of reality. These are great guides for you as well. And it is not one thing to be putting these off, for they are showing you something. They are showing you something that you are feeling. And yes, you may be looking at it with the look of being, for instance, victimized, or looking at it with something that someone else is doing to you that is somewhat kind of a hurtful scenario. And reevaluating those things, yes, being grounded, creating a connection to what it is that you are. And what you are is so much, you are a bubble of biology here. You are connected well with this planet here. And yet you are connected to all the universe as well. And there's going to be a grounding that you can find with both ends of the spectrums. And there is going to be great things that are in store on both ends of the spectrum. And yet you will harmonize better with the nature of people here, being grounded with the nature of where it is that you are, this planet that you are on, and grounding with that. It is going to be the harmonics that you have there but it's also now going to be the expanded part of humanity as it expands forth from that and begins its harmonic exchange with the universe. Much of this is happening on other scales that are here. But you will find truths in the moments of despair. You will find things that you may not quite understand as things are unfolding for you, as the walls are falling all around you. You will find a new strength that you didn't have before if the scenario didn't work out the way it did. It was the part of you that wanted to show you something in that scenario. The part of you that wanted to feel itself, to feel the expressions of who you were and are. And then it is also the grounding part of yourself, that is also the overall expansion part of yourself that can also look at the scenario differently, that can bring about a different result and bring about a new situation, to retransmute what is there, rewrite the story of what it was, become another character, another chip, another part of who you are. So there's a great dynamic here that you will find in both levels, even with the seemingly human factor of what it is, the animalistic maybe factor that what it is that you are fight or flight kind of emotions that are happening. These are all dynamics that are a part of you. And yes, there is a reacting to things. There's also looking at things so that you can make a decisive and bigger and easier decision. And when you are in these harmonics with yourself, you are going to be naturally flowing with much of this within yourselves. As you practice chronically into all these things that you are, all of these ways that you can express love, you will naturally begin this flow of allowing things to happen and allowing and forming and becoming the responsible beings that you are into the scenarios that you are creating for yourselves. These are all the harmonics that are all part of all of you, all of who you are, all of the beauty that you hold within yourselves. And we will say this is all unique, for each of you have your own unique pieces, and you know what they are. Many of you do. You may say you don't, but they are buried and they are in your heart and they are beating forth and they were wanting to come out. They are in your dreams that many of you have lost and somewhat tucked under the bed, maybe in a cold night, in a winter time, or a hard time, or a belief system that you may have bought into. We are saying reevaluate yourselves. There's much that you can be learning from even the greatest and harshest of situations. You are rewriting your histories now. This is the moment of your moments.
I like the way that you explained that. So many times to get the full experience, to have the full ride, we do have to let go and move with it. So it is a form of ungrounding, like when the walls are falling in, instead of grounding to hold the walls up, to let ourselves unground and move with the full experience, and then we get a greater understanding of it. Is that right?
That's right. There's different scenarios. You may be in also dual realities. There are many different scenarios we can talk about here. But we want you to be able to, yes, evaluate yourselves in most all of the situations you find yourself, especially in uncomfortable ones. And we're not going to try to focus on those uncomfortable ones. But you can chronically also be attracting yourselves these situations that are more congruent, and you're peeling yourself like an onion, and you are coming into the core source of who you are, and coming more in contact with the situations you would like to continue to create, new connections that you have with other people that will continue to expand upon itself, just like a thought is expanding upon itself. You are going to have more cascading ahas that are happening on a constant daily basis, more synchronistic periods that are happening, that are coming through to you as you walk in grace, as you walk in a chronic way to what it is that you are, a part of your being, the part of the being that is followed by your heart, that is followed by the balancing of all that the nature is around you, all the dynamics that are around you, being able to balance life and being able to balance a living, being able to balance all of the passions that you have and seeing it grow, constantly moving towards what it is that you are enjoying. These are all the dynamics that you are moving yourself into. And yes, you are going to not always have these perfect scenarios, for you must have these contrasts in order to enjoy these scenarios on a greater depth than if you were to not have these great dastardly things happen to you. And yet you may see it as a happening to you, but it is not quite that way. It is in a vibration that is not quite cleared out, not quite looked at, viewed, or not quite in harmonics that you would like to see yourself as much as you thought you did, that is happening, that you are incongruent with. May have been brought up in a thought or a conversation, but it begins to attract itself. And so there's not going to always be a perfect and pure filter that you are having, but you are developing it, and you are taking the responsibility of it, and you are taking up responsibility of your holding of the energy that you are, and the holding of the energy, the source energy that you are, the love that you are. And so that is going to precede the situations that all of you are a part of, and are parting yourselves to. You are not the victims if you don't choose to be the victims of all the things that are happening. You can stand up in your own power and step up anytime you are ready to. Dear ones, you are all there in your own certain ways. And you are all, there's not a certain thing that you must do. It is just mastering the moments of time. Mastering the moments, even the littlest moments you feel are not quite worth mastering. These are all of the things that you are, that develop the characters that you are, that develop the love that you can carry. And the more that you can carry, the more you can see things unconditionally, the more you connect with your source of who, the greater dynamic of what you are. And so we suggest these just simple tools that are here. And yes, we encourage this every week in some form or another. But this is the part of us that we see is so beautiful on this planet, is all the variety of vibrations that you all are, in your own source beings, as you are bumping into each other, as you see each other in different dynamics and different lights that you are. And seldom do you ever go within to look at what it is that you have, that you know that you can bring forward. Believe that you can bring forward. And the greatest steps that you are, for you are all beautiful, wonderful, amazing masters here. And we hope you feel the love that is coming from our side when we say this. For there is greatness here.
So is love actually sourcing itself? And we're part of that source. We are that love that's sourcing its own self. In a greater...
Yes, there is a sourcing of itself, and that self and what itself is going to be the source that you are, and the expression that you are is going to be the love that is being possessed, that you are. We would say that there might be what you call, and we don't really want to say it like this, but it might be the best way for now, is that there may be other dimensions of what you would call love. That there is greater depths, and as you are exploring what it is that love is to you, and what love can be, and what love is, and the levels of love that you can create, in all the many different forms that love is, you will see that there is more forms, that there is more love that can be shown here, so much more, in even the littlest things, such as simply smiling to someone as you pass them by, simply not using a flattery of a comment, but a sincere of a comment to someone, to bring upliftment where you go, to notice the love that is all around you. These are all these different forms that you are, and it's the way that you can harness that, and you bring more of that and become more of that.
So it is true that we are like a mirror, and when we're feeling love, it really is a reflection of who we are.
Yes.
I kind of feel like a lot of, for me, a lot of love is about when I feel safe, I'm in a space of love. And when I'm with someone and I say that I love them, or they say that they love me, it feels like it's almost like I'm giving her safety. Or she's giving me safety, saying, you're all right, you're just the way you are. I like you just the way you are. And then I feel safe. And I kind of wonder if you actually ever give love or receive love, or you just are giving or receiving more safety such that that other person then feels love, because it's just, well, it's like when you're scared, you contract and you prevent love, right? But it kind of feels to me like love is just everywhere all the time, and what we really are mostly doing is restricting or constricting or preventing it. It's almost like we don't have to create love, we just have to stop restricting it.
Yes, and that is many of the barriers that you are putting up many of the times to protect yourself. And imagine what the world would be like, of course, if there was this love. There would be more safety, wouldn't you say? It is part of the security that is in everything. But it is part of the understanding. It's a greater depth than we would say with the security part, than you would know. For there is so much that can be understood from love. It is the source energy. It is an overall, it's a feeling and an emotion. It is a hard thing to define. What is love? Each of you feel it in your own sorts of ways, and yet it is a magnetism that is going throughout the universe, and this is a harmonic one as well. Dear ones, there is a mastery that is happening throughout humanity in this way of seeing each other. These barriers are coming down in all sorts of forms. That is all around us. All around you. It is also part of our society as well. It is also part of the dynamics of much of what the universe is. The universe of nature is coexisting. It is creating the cohabitation that is happening. And if you can cohabitate with who it is that you are, the source that you are, it brings so much greater meaning to the things that you are chasing after. Especially when it is in the harmonics and within the parts of a greater energy that you hold within yourselves.
So where you reside, the expansion of love, is it safe to say, or is the commonality there that your level of understanding what love is growing like it is here with us in your world? Is your understanding and your level of love growing at that same rate, so to speak?
Yes. It is one of those things that is being developed. It is part of who you are as you are bringing more into you what it is that you are. And of course, when you die, this is something that you are also a part of too, is the love that is there. That you have separated yourselves and created these, yes, barriers in front of you. And yet these are some of the veils that are intentionally put there so that you can feel this individual part of what it is to be human. So yes, we do feel something a little different. And we would say this would probably be a stronger connection. It would be the one of a lot less unconditional part of ourselves as we meet together here, as we are in many different scenarios trying to express ways of being able to simply see the greatness that you are, to see the part of yourself, and to truly love and fall in love with who it is that you are. You are all part of the source energy that is so much, that holds so many of the great keys that are in your heart that you've been longing for and asking for. And you are fumbling with the keys and you're not sure. We are wanting you to open up these great opportunities. They are here for you now. The contracts that you want are all around you. The opportunities are there, and when your awareness is there and will match these vibrations that are all around you, you will connect with them. It is the connections that you have with so much of what is around you. Allow yourself these connections. Dear ones, you are so close. And we would just like to say, it has been our great pleasure to be among you here today.
Thank you.
We thank you.
Thank you.
So it is.
So it is.
All there is love.